first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to Gary White and CBHC for inviting me here tonight. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about planning a clear and achievable growth path for a profitable future, and that's for SMEs and entrepreneurs. And I'm going to be telling you, as Gary said, about Growth Accelerator, and their little strapline is where ambitious businesses go to grow. So I'm really excited about telling you all about that and how you can access it. So I'm Tina Dulieu, and I'd like to welcome you, as I said. And as a business owner, I've had two businesses. I had another business before this, which was an educational business, having been a maths teacher, which I grew and ran for 10 years and then profitably sold it, and then trained to do business and executive coaching. And I've been running Coaching Dynamics now for the last 7 years. And I specialise in business and executive coaching and DISC personality profiling, which I'll tell you about later. I'm also a growth coach and management trainer for Growth Accelerator, and as I said, it's Growth Accelerator I would really like to focus on. And Growth Accelerator has been going for 2.5 years, and I was very fortunate this year to be a finalist in the as a Growth Coach of the Year in their awards at Mayfair. So that was a very exciting thing for me to do. So bearing that in mind and Growth Accelerator, I'm going to show you the route to plan a clear and achievable growth path for a profitable future. Here we go. So what are the necessities then for growing a business? Well, first of all, you need to have a business development and strategic plan. Because without a plan, without the direction in which you know that you want to go, you could veer off in all kinds of areas. So that's a very important part of Growth Accelerator. And the little bullseye thing that you see there is called an orbit, and I'll tell you a bit more about an orbit. And it's a living, working business plan. Very, very exciting. You also need to have profitability and finance and good cash flow. And that's where an excellent accountant and finance director comes in with CBHC. Very, very important. If you don't have the right finance, if you don't have the right cash flow, of course it can stem any business plans that you have. So that becomes very important indeed. We also need to develop and expand our client base. But sometimes before we expand our client base, we can look at the client base that we already have. Because sometimes by upselling, by revisiting the clients that we've had before, whom we know, we can offer more business and grow our business that way. So there's two arms to that. And one of the things I do find many times is lots of people are looking for new clients, but what about the ones that you already have? That can be quite important too. Also, sales and marketing strategies. You know, in order to get to these new clients, which you may want to have your sales plan in place, to have your marketing strategy. They go hand in hand. Your reputation, your branding, the people that you want to give a particular message to is all part of the whole plan. Employing the right people and staff, isn't that important? Because your company is made up of the people within it. And the people within it need to be motivated, they need to be focused, they need to know the vision of your company and go with you. And I'm going to be speaking to you a little bit about DISC personality profiling this evening, and that will also show you how to keep the right staff and to find the right staff. Management and leadership skills, because as your staff grows with the growth, it is important that the people that are leading those staff have management skills. And many people, they get further up the ladder, they get promoted and promoted to the top, and then they've never had any management training in their whole life and are expected to manage people. So that's a very important part of the development and growth if that happens in your business. And once, of course, you manage people, you need to effectively delegate to them. And it isn't just, well, there you are, get on with it. There is a good way to delegate and a not so good way to delegate. So that becomes part of the business strategy that you have. Systems, procedures, operations, technology, we cannot, in this day and age, run our businesses without technology, can we? You know, whether we love it or hate it, it has to be part of that. And so by considering that in all of your business is a very important part, and the way that the operations run. Also, by managing your time efficiently and prioritising is very key. People who are running all over the place, firefighting, not achieving their priorities, it's so important that we look at how they use their time, how the people that work for them use their time productively. So they're the necessities for growing a business. Now, if all of that makes you go like that, then you're not alone, because it does that for many people. So what can be done about it? Well, first of all, never fear, help is here. Hooray. And how is that help here? Well, through Coaching Dynamics, which is my company, and through Growth Accelerator, I'm going to show you a little bit of how that help is available to you. Now, Growth Accelerator is government funded, and it's an excellent scheme that involves business coaching, management training, that helps develop your business in the right way that you want it to over 3 years. And involved in that will be business coaching, the management training, and the DISC personality profiling that I offer. So what is Growth Accelerator then? Well, it's a government co-funded scheme, and 2.5 years ago the government invested £200 million in this scheme. What they thought was they wanted to use businesses to increase the economy, to be able to put money back into the economy and grow it, because we'd had a recession, hadn't we, which many businesses suffered from. And also by helping them increase the economy, they could afford to employ more people, and that in turn was going to help the unemployment. So there was reasoning behind their strategy. It was a 3-year programme. It began in 2012, and we've had news in recent weeks that they're actually extending it for a further 2 years. So that's absolutely delightful, especially for growth coaches like myself and the businesses that still can take advantage of it. Just the last part there, sorry, it's for entrepreneurial businesses who want to grow, particularly if they're looking to grow by, at least 20% per year. That can be very good. Although there isn't any limit. I've had companies do it that have grown by 10%. I've had some companies that have grown by 3-4 times. So it just depends what each individual business wants to achieve. There's no prescription on that. It is individual for every business. So there are 4 consortia that manage Growth Accelerator in England and Wales, and for Essex it's Pira Consulting, and for Hertfordshire and London it is Grant Thornton. So what are the eligibility criteria? Well, first of all, the businesses have to be registered in England and in Wales. They have to be 100% owned by the directors of the company. They have to have less than 250 employees and a turnover of less than 40 million. And in that range, I've had companies on Growth Accelerator from a turnover of 300,000 right up to 27 million. So anywhere in between is fine. The key is wanting to grow. That's the key element. So let's have a look at the Growth Accelerator scheme. At the centre of all of this is your business. That's what it's all about. It's completely individualised to each and every one of your businesses, which is excellent. There is a growth manager and there is a growth coach. So the growth manager will come and see the company first to look at their eligibility and try and find out how they would like to grow. And they do something called a growth mapper, which is, it's about 100 questions, ask questions all about the business, and they give you some analysis on that. So that in itself is a very useful thing to have. Then they hand over to the business coach, like myself, to go into the company to work with them between 4 and 6 months on their business strategy, and I'll explain what that involves. I usually go and see my clients once a fortnight for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And there are goals and actions to achieve on the way. And I go back and find out how they're doing with those things. Then there is the matched funding for leadership and management funding. Management training, I should say, because the training, what happens is with the Growth Accelerator, it focuses on the growth, but sometimes there needs to be some management training to back that up, to support it. And that is match funded, which means that they give you 50% of the money that you spend on training, which is excellent. Pira and Grant Thornton will also run masterclasses. That is part of the whole process. So there are 6 of those that you can go to, and I'm told that they're excellent. And then there's a network community. Once you're on the Growth Accelerator scheme, it opens lots of doors in many places, because there is this network of businesses. For example, even my own businesses that I've worked with, and there have been about 29 of them now put through the Growth Accelerator program, network with each other, and I refer them to each other. So that's a very good networking community, because we all know that if you've been on the Growth Accelerator program, then something special has happened to your business as a result. Now, there are 3 areas that you can focus on through the Growth Accelerator coaching. There's business development and growth through innovation, which are the 2 areas that I focus on. But there's also access to finance, and there are growth coaches who work just on that for companies who want to look at gaining lots of finance for their business and haven't been able to do so. But business development is the bit I'm focusing on this evening. So let's imagine for a moment now that you're on the Growth Accelerator scheme, you've been accepted, and we get something called a scope of support, which is looking at how the business is going to evolve. It's handed over to me, and I'm on board with you to help you develop. What happens? This is what happens. We start planning for the growth, and that's very exciting. And then we start implementing it, and then we start seeing success, even more exciting. Now, this diagram that you see here is called an orbit. It's a 3-year plan. And Gary was saying about CBHC being on the Growth Accelerator program, and in fact you now have your orbits, don't you? And it's exciting, it's fantastic. It's looking at the plan for the next 3 years, and we will have looked at all kinds of things involved in the business, because business and growth is never about one thing. It's never about, can I get more clients? Can I keep my head above water? Do I have the cash flow? It isn't all about those things, it's about many things. All of the things that I put on the earlier slide, looking at developing the people in your business, looking at finding strategic partners, looking at the way that you market your business, so many things. Anyway, so we have the scope of support, and these are the kinds of things that are involved in it. We start off by brainstorming with the management team. How does this company want to grow? What ideas do you have for your business to take it forward over the next 3 years? Bit of blue sky thinking there. Then we get our 3-year plan, which is the orbit. And that's, as I say, is always the turning point, I think, because it opens opportunities in people's minds of where they can go. Then once we have our 3-year plan, we concentrate on the first year, and that's called a 1-year breakthrough planner. Because it doesn't matter how good your plan is, unless you start putting it into action, it isn't going to happen. So on the 1-year breakthrough planner, we look at all the things you need to do to move your business forward in that year. And we allocate people who are going to champion those parts of it. And then we monitor how that's going. And when we meet, we say, how are you doing with your part of the breakthrough planner? Then we'll create a 12-month marketing plan. My experience generally of people's marketing, that it's a bit ad hoc. They might get a bit of money and they might start to do a little bit of marketing here, a little bit of marketing there, and there isn't any real plan. Well, part of the plan of growth is to have a good marketing strategy, because then you know what's going to happen. You can make sure your brand and your name and your reputation is out there on a regular basis in all sorts of ways that suit your company. Then we look at the sales and we analyse them, because by analysing them probably in different ways than you've ever analysed them before, we can set targets. And it's those targets, once they're set, that you can then begin to work towards. And then we would look at the future of the organisation, the structure that's going to happen in the next few years. Because if your business is going to grow, then you'll be growing with people and you'll need to have a structure in how that is going to grow. So as you can see, this whole experience of the Growth Accelerator coaching part of it is structured. It's very much sets you in a direction so that you know where you're going with your business, and then you take the steps to achieve them. Isn't that exciting? It is. Believe me, it really is. Okay. Now, once you're on the Growth Accelerator program, as I said, because it focuses really on the growth and on the development of it, Growth Accelerators soon realise that with growth, sometimes people move up the scale and find themselves managing people on that they haven't managed before, or more people, but maybe haven't had any training. So they introduce the leadership and management training part of it. And this is matched funding. So they will pay 50% of management training, £2,000 per manager, up to £10,000. So if you have a larger company and you can go up to £10,000, that means £20,000 worth of training you could get for £10,000, which is excellent in this day and age. Now you can choose your trainer. If there's any particular training that you would like, that develops your managers, you can apply for it. Fortunately, I am an approved trainer for Growth Accelerator, so I have training modules that I help my clients with, and these are some of them. Okay, so let me just pick out one or two. As I mentioned, time management is very, very important, because if you are structured with your time, if you use your time in the best possible way every single day, you're going to achieve much more. We don't want to be busy fools. We want to be proactive people who plan what we're going to do. Delegation skills, communication skills, customer service, all of those things are very important, and sometimes they get missed along the way if we're not careful. The management and leadership skills, how do you be a manager? What does that mean? And so on. So those are quite a few, and the DISC personality profiling. I'd just like to tell you about DISC personality profiling because it comes under Growth Accelerator training. I don't know if you've heard of DISC before, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's so exciting. I would say that of all the things new that I've brought into my coaching over the last few years, that DISC is one of those key things that is a light bulb for all of the people that I've worked with that use it. DISC are 4 different personality types. So D is your dominant, driving personality. I, influential and inspiring. S, steady and stable. C, correct and compliant. And we, in practice, have different levels of those, different percentages in our personality. And by completing a questionnaire, and we get 3 graphs together, we can find out lots of different things about people. We can find out their management styles, their motivations, what motivates people. Different things motivate different people in different ways. How they communicate. There is no doubt that I communicate to my clients differently according to the profile that I know that they are. Some I will write to, some I'll pick up the phone, some I'll give the detail to, some I'll bullet point. There's all sorts of things. If you understand that, communication can be massively increased by understanding DISC. It's often used in recruitment, so that once we know the profiles of all the people in the business and in the team and what their strengths are, because a company who uses their people for their strengths is going to make strides forward. Instead of working on their weaknesses, let's move things around so that all the people are using their strengths to achieve what they need. And so that when they're taking on people into their teams and into their companies, they take on the right personalities for the right jobs. It's all part of this efficiency and growing a company in a stable way. We can also look at how those people make decisions, what their risk-taking is, what happens to them under stress. Very, very powerful indeed. Okay, so that's covered under the training. So let me give you some statistics about Growth Accelerator. So far, about 18,000 businesses have taken advantage of it since they started, and 97% of their clients would recommend Growth Accelerator. I think that's a phenomenal figure, and all of these figures are on the Growth Accelerator website. It's been proven that businesses on Growth Accelerator grow 4 times faster than businesses that are not on it. And that's to do with the structure. And in turn, what that has happened there is that it's put £1.5 billion into the economy of this country. And that in turn has added 36,000 new jobs. So has the government achieved what it set out to in that respect? I certainly think it has, and I'm sure that is why they have decided to extend it for another 2 years. Okay, so what does it cost to be on the Growth Accelerator programme? I'm sure a lot less than you might think. It's very highly funded, and for a 4 to 6 month business coaching programme, if you have 5 employees or less than 5 employees, it costs £600 plus £700 VAT. Now, why £700 VAT, might you ask? It's because that for the smaller businesses, it's estimated that that worth of that programme is about £3,500, and so 20% of that is £700. It's to do with customs and excise, apparently. If you have 5 to 49 employees, it costs £1,500 plus £700 VAT. And you get 6 months business coaching. And if you have 50 employees, up to 249, it costs £3,000. And for the 6 month programme, that's worth at least £5,000. So extremely cost effective in this market today, and almost makes me say, you know, why would a business not do it? Why would they not take advantage of that funding that the government has put out there in order to help you grow? Included in that money that you pay are the 6 workshops that I told you about, and they're run on a continuous basis. And then of course there's the government funding, the extra funding for the leadership and management, which is £2,000 up to £10,000. And you can only access that if you are on the Growth Accelerator programme. Okay. So I'd like to give you a couple of case studies now of the businesses that I've worked with. As I said, I've been doing it now for about 2.5 years. 29 companies I've worked with have gone through from small businesses to big businesses. The biggest business I've worked with has had 130 staff. The smallest I've put on this programme has had 3. So it doesn't really matter as long as the company wants to develop and grow. You can see more case studies and testimonials on my website, but here's a couple for you. This is a company called Lasered Components, and they are in Braintree. Laser Components have a factory, and they use machines to cut metal widgets, I'm going to call them. Metal things that go in all sorts of things, from a golf bag to shop fitting, lots and lots of different things. They have these big machines that cut them. And we did their orbit. They came onto the Growth Accelerator programme, and one of the things that they wanted to do was to buy new, faster machines and expand into the factory next door, take on more staff, have a better sales office, and so on. So all of those things were in our plans that we put into the process. And 18 months later, they have their new factory, they have their new machines, and they achieved their first year goals, and they're well on the way to achieving their second year goals, which is up at the end of the year, and doing extraordinarily well. The other company is, that I want to tell you about is a company called Novo Construction, and Novo Construction are in Standon. And Novo Construction were one of the finalists for growth, high growth, at the awards ceremony that Growth Accelerator ran this year at Mayfair, which entitled me to be finalists for Growth Coach of the Year. And the reason they were finalists is because when I started working with Novo Construction, they'd been badly hit by the recession, as it did in construction. And their turnover had gone from 1.5 million down to 350,000. They'd had to make people redundant, and they wanted to get back to that. So we started on the Growth Accelerator program, put all kinds of things into place. 18 months later, they have contracts worth 3 million. That was their high growth that made them finalists. They have now 7 people in their offices, lots of site staff, and it's growing and growing and growing. And they're exactly the kind of businesses and successes that make my job so enjoyable. I'm so lucky. I think I have one of the most enjoyable jobs that there could be, because I help the clients define their success that they want and then help them and watch them achieve it. I think that's a fantastic job. I thank my lucky stars for being able to do that. So how do you apply for Growth Accelerator then? Well, just to summarise that, just want to remind you what's involved. You get your growth manager, your growth coach, 6 workshops, the network of Growth Accelerator itself, and the match funding. And there are 2 ways that you can apply. You can apply through me directly, and on your seat and in your packages there, you will have had one of these, which tells you about Growth Accelerator, and inside it gives you the prices in there as set by Growth Accelerator. And on the back is some information about some of my clients and my contact details. So you can apply through me, or you can go directly to the Growth Accelerator website, where you can find information there and you can apply there. So just to end, I'd like to say thank you very much for your attention. I do hope that you found this interesting, and I do hope that you either take advantage of Growth Accelerator yourself while the funding is there, or you may know of other businesses who would like to. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.